Hi, Oladimeji Popola. Thank you. You are joining us from Nigeria. Oh my goodness. It's almost, okay, I think about 11 p.m. too in Nigeria now. Thank you for staying up this late to join. Hi, Rebecca. Do you want to test if you can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I just made you co-host. I don't know if you want to try to see if you can share your screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tolu, thank you for joining us from Lagos, Nigeria. Oh my goodness. We need to draw a map for Rebecca to understand the audience are coming from. Hi, Emmanuel. Anu Oluwapo, good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I can see
How's
you
that?
very well.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I will hand it over to Harry right now. Hi, Harry. You are muted. Okay, I think that's deliberate.
Am I the only one that can't hear Harry?
Want to know in case anything happens
Hello, Gumbo, please, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for joining today. And I think we're going to start right now. Thank you, Oge, for the introduction. I know more people will join as we move on, but I don't think I'll be waiting for that. So let me just share my screen quickly so we can have enough time for Rebecca to share with us what she has to share.
Hi, Harry.
Yes.
Can you wait at least until 7 on the dot? We told them 7. Just 2 more minutes, please.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for that. I thought it was 7 already.
I know you're excited to learn today, but just calm down, okay?
I thought it was 7 already. I'm so sorry for that.
Oh. Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you for joining us from Nigeria. Welcome today. Okay, Harry, you have the floor now. Over to you.
I'll still wait. Let's give it a few more minutes. We just have our 2 minutes before we start.
That's fine.
Yeah, so just wait a bit. Thank you.
Can you believe that this is my first time using Zoom after this entire pandemic?
Oh my goodness. You should win an award.
I know. There's so many other options out there. So yeah. bear with me if I misclick there.
No problem. I think maybe Harry may want to put you through how to use Zoom just before you start.
I think I'm okay. I'll survive. I'll manage. I do work in tech, so.
Okay, you figure it out.
Okay, I am back. So let me share my screen again. So I want to welcome everyone for joining us today. And today we're going to be, we have an IT professional in our midst. But before I go into talking about Rebecca, I think I'll just first of all talk about Career Aid Hub. And Career Aid Hub is hosting this presentation today. And just get my screen out. Career Aid Hub is hosting this presentation today, and we are going to be having Rebecca Laporte. She's going to be presenting and talking about product management. Rebecca is an IT professional with a background in creative and technical industries with a focus on strategic planning and roadmap development in agile team environments. With a proven experience overseeing all elements of product development lifecycle, from conception to post-launch growth and maintenance. Rebecca has strived leading teams to adopt an iterative and data-driven approach to software development. Rebecca has also worked as a product owner at Ubisoft on titles such as Assassin's Creed. For those that are conversant with games, that's a very popular online game, Assassin's Creed. I've never played it, but I hear about it. And Rebecca is was one of the product owners on that particular gaming platform. She now serves Canadians as a product manager at the Canada Revenue Agency, and she works in the Advanced Analytics Division of IT. So in short, Rebecca is a product manager for the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning team in CRA, and she's also my colleague in the office. Yeah, so it's good to have here. Now, for a little bit of housekeeping, this webinar should run for about an hour. Rebecca, we have about 45 to 50 minutes to tell us or with our presentation. She might have less, but we need to have some time for questions. I would advise everybody, please be muted so we can get the best experience out of this. So please remain muted, and you can turn your videos on for bandwidth, so the whole presentation goes smoothly. You may post your questions in the main chat, and we'll read them to the presenter when it is time for question and answer. The presentation is going to be uploaded. We're actually live streaming on YouTube now, but you can always get this on our Career Aid Hub YouTube page. But unfortunately, we do not share the slide decks of our presenters. It's proprietary to them. If Rebecca has any other documents she wants us to share with you, you definitely get our emails on that. And that's a segue to tell us to be part of our mailing list. That's where you can always get notifications. And when we have speakers like Rebecca, you can always get materials that can help explain the topic better. So for Career Aid Hub, we are a group of professionals dedicated to supporting Black and visible minorities. And we try to help them succeed in their careers, thereby contributing to the socio-economic growth of our community. Our mission is to provide a hub where our members can network, learn, and grow in their career. We help our clients, or we help people in training. It could be business analysis, project management, change management, the agile methodology, business intelligence and data analytics, and also product management. We coach and we also mentor. We have great mentors that work with us. We do resume reviews. Just yesterday, I reviewed about 10 resumes and just trying to help people in the community to get that dream job, or at least to get to the interview. We also do mock interviews where we invite people that are thought leaders, and we invite senior BAs and product managers, to come, just ask our members question, interview related, so they can get better on their interview skills. We carry out webinars like we're doing now, and we also provide internship opportunities. So I think I've said what I need to say for now. I'll leave the rest to Rebecca. So Rebecca, the floor is yours. You can take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you for that incredible introduction, Harry. I'm really excited to join today to talk about what I do. And Harry knows that I could talk forever about product management, and yet here all of you are on a volunteer basis listening to me talk about this. So I'm really excited. And I'm just going to kind of give you an overview about product management to see if it's a career that you'd be considering entering into. So I'm just going to share my screen. Tell me if we're good.
Espero.
All good? Yes,
Yes.
thumbs up. Harry,
Yes.
good?
Good.
Okay, fantastic. So I don't really necessarily need to introduce myself again, but I am Rebecca, and I am here to talk to you all about product management today and just kind of give you a little taste of what it is to be a product manager, such as myself. So I'll just jump right in. There's going to be a couple of parts to this presentation. I'm going to go through first what is a product and how do we define that, what is a product manager and kind of the key essentials of being a product manager, the road to becoming a product manager, in my professional opinion, and who should be a product manager. What are the types of people that would be interested in pursuing a career in product management? So here's a picture, such as myself. And for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about my most recent relevant experience in product management and product ownership. As Harry mentioned, I'm currently an artificial intelligence and machine learning product manager at the Canada Revenue Agency. And I previously built up my career at Ubisoft as a video game product owner. So two very different, even industries, but ultimately the fundamentals of product management is the same, although varying companies and even project to project has different needs. So first of all, what is a product? I think there's probably a lot of you that have some ideas. So it can be a physical item or a consumable good. So makeup, a hot dog, or headphones. These are all things that can be purchased by the consumer as a physical, tangible object. But then there's also applications such as, you have applications on your phone. As someone who comes in mobile game development, your Angry Birds is an application. You have software, operating systems, Windows, etc. Then you have platforms such as Facebook and other types of software that is provided to the consumer as a virtual product. So a product is a tangible solution, tool, or service that enables the long-term evolving delivery of value to customers and stakeholders based on business and user requirements. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'll be focusing on software as a service. So software as a service is software that's hosted on the cloud. So it's not a physical product, and it's accessed remotely by users. So my experience in product management comes from software as a service. So I'll be speaking to that throughout the duration of this presentation. Why software as a service is popular and growing exponentially is because it's flexible. It means that you can deliver updates and new service offerings to your user frequently and easily when there's no physical hardware to have to worry about. It is scalable because you can deliver it remotely to your users. It's something that you can scale throughout many regions in the world ultimately. And because of that, it's a very efficient way of delivering your product to your users. The most important part of software as a service, and I will drive this home all the time, is that it's iterative. It changes, it evolves. It is something that is offered to a user that has an ongoing basis that you're constantly trying to meet the needs of your user throughout time as your product lives through its product life cycle. So now that we know what kind of manager is managing as a product, what is a product manager and what do they do? This is the $1 million question. Product management is something that's emerging. It's something that a lot of enterprises, especially in tech, are utilizing a lot to be, it's an emerging thing that is kind of expanding more and more. So you do have traditional roles, and product management has come out over the years to supplement our traditional roles that we play in software development. So there's kind of 4 key components to it in my definition. One of them is being a user experience ambassador, or UX as we call it. It's being a communicator, and a good one. You can't be a good product manager without being a good communicator. A holistic product stakeholder, so the person that has an overall view of the product at all times. And the product manager is ultimately the person that is responsible for the success or failure of your product. So I want to talk about UX, or user experience. A product manager would, at the beginning, if you want to start a product, you're going to do market analysis. So you start and you're like, okay, we have an idea of what we want to build. Where do we go? The product manager looks at the competitors of other software and looks at their features and makes a graph, a diagram of detailing everything that those services offer to your users and compares. What is it that there is on the market now, and are there any gaps that we believe our product could fill? So that also involves the analysis of saying, here's the thing that these products provide, and here's the things that we think are missing, and how our product could be speaking to that. It also looks at the demographics of your competitors to say, you know, it's very rare that a product is going to hit every single demographic. So you have to say, what demographics do our competitors hit? And is there anywhere that we could leverage expanding that demographic to either a different or a targeted audience of users that might be not well represented by the products that are offered on the market. So market analysis is a big part of it before you start working on a product. User research as well. So that's not just detailing your demographics to say, this is a product that people in Canada use. Their ages 30 to 60, and they tend to be men, women, etc. It's also, you're looking at personas, which is really, really important for your average user. So a persona would be Rebecca, who is in Canada, a woman looking for these types of features provided in a product. So that's kind of really important at the start before you have actually delivered anything of your product to market. It also involves user feedback. This is very, very, very important. If your product is on the market, you can do surveys to directly ask your users how they feel about your product and the features that you're offering. I know that you've probably either played a game or used a website and it's asked you to rate your experience and provide feedback. These are really good examples of that. And when you have a product that is in beta or is in testing phase, you can do this often to get feedback from your users as you continue to develop. There's also reviews. So coming from my background in mobile app development, it's something where users will tell you exactly how they feel about their product, and you have to listen to them. I mean, it's very important too. So you have to look at what people are saying, directly ask for their feedback, and then you can also do user testing. So user testing can be as big as doing a beta test in several different countries, or doing what we call an A/B test to test 2 different demographics with different features, and then collecting data based off those users' usage of your product or feature that you're testing. It could be as simple as your Uncle Bob coming over to your house, using your product, as long as Uncle Bob is in your targeted demographic for your product, watching how your Uncle Bob uses your product, noting any friction points that Uncle Bob experiences, and how you can ultimately continue to deliver the top quality product that feels best to your users at the end of the day. There's going to be many different people that will have opinions about how you can best serve your user. As a product manager, you are their ambassador. You are the user. You have to embody what you believe is their best interest for your product in order to be successful. Doing okay on time. Oh, I thought I had less time than I do, so that's good. So there's also being a communicator, and that doesn't mean just being good at writing emails. A product manager is responsible for the backlog. So the backlog is something that software developers use specifically on Jira, which is a software development platform. The backlog is all the work that you are wanting to do to build your product. It's a list of all of those pieces of work, and you are the owner of that. So you prioritize that work based on the features that you and your team are targeting. You also have to report up to your executives, to your clients, to your investors, the people ultimately who are funding the development of your product. You are the person that has to speak to those executives, and you are the face of your product. You have to make sure that you keep them updated on the status of your product. If your product has been released on the market, which it should be, and you should do it often, you give post-launch updates to say, we just released a feature or an update, etc., something new to add to our product, and you have to provide how it went and your statistics and everything that comes around determining the success of your iteration on your product. So that involves having a persuasive strategy. The product manager does not necessarily take everything that the funding source says, we want you to do this. The role of a product manager is to always have the answer. It's not necessarily where you're going to have very strict guidelines. We want you to build this, this, and this, and this. No. The role of the product manager is to have their team use their expertise to solve a problem that your client, your users, etc., have. So you have to persuade them that your solution is the best solution for your product. And it goes the other way as well. You have to be a servant to your team. You have to communicate constantly with your team to give them the same kind of updates. Talk to them about the health of the product. Make sure that everybody, as through the life cycle of your product, is getting accurate information about the success of your product and things that you're wanting to improve for your product and where you're taking it. And that involves building and maintaining enthusiasm in your team You have to make sure that everybody is on board, everybody has the same goals that you do, and you need to communicate both ways, which is kind of why product managers are often described as purple people, because they communicate to both sides. So it's very niche to be able to speak both ways, and depending on your audience, who you need to specific types of things that you need to report to. If a release goes terribly, you're probably not going to go to your team and be like, well, this was awful. Thanks, guys. Let's go home. You have to be able to tailor that communication to the audience that needs to hear the type of information that they need to hear about your product ultimately. So the product manager is very holistic in in the stake of the product. They're always the final decision maker and the escalation point. So contrary to some popular belief, product manager is the manager specifically of the product and not of people. I know a lot of times the definition of success for a lot of individuals is you're climbing the ranking or going up in the hierarchy, and you are therefore managing a lot of people. Product managers in the traditional sense should never manage people, specifically because you need to have the vested interest in your product. If you have several people that you're managing and you're talking to, and they may be able to sway you in one way or another, that's really not ideal in product management. You want to make sure that you're not thinking about teams specifically, or individuals and their well-being. You are constantly focused on the well-being of the product. That means that there are many other stakeholders involved in your product, from design to tech, tools, engineering, even art, depending on what your product is. And they are all going to have varying opinions about how you can best serve your product. Product manager's job is to take that expertise and be the final decision maker of where you're going to take your product. So that includes being the vision holder. You need to make sure that the vision that you have for the product is, so the goals that you're setting, the targets that you have for the success of your product, and the intentions of it are very clear to not only your investors, but your team itself. Everybody has to be behind that vision, and that vision is built collectively, but you are the holder of that vision. It's the long-term focus of a product manager that sometimes it's not just what is best for your product, but you also have to build it towards larger enterprise company goals to make sure that the needs of as a whole, the enterprise that is funding your product, among other products, it's also speaking to their goals. So you have to make sure that it's focused 1 year, 3 year, even 5 years ahead, depending on the life cycle expectations for your product and how long you plan on supporting it. The product manager is also the owner of a roadmap. So the roadmap is something for your product that defines the features you are targeting, the milestones of your product. So depending on where it is, your milestones will be an alpha or a beta, but it involves releases where you can be testing your product on the market, even in a small capacity. So you need to make sure that the roadmap and all the things that are going to be targeted in your product are in the roadmap, are visible to everyone in your team and everyone that has any stake in your product at all. And the timelines and expectations for the delivery of those milestones and features. So all of those things kind of makes you ultimately the person who is accountable for the product success. So usually it depends on the product. There are metrics that are KPIs, or key performance indicators, are not universal. KPIs can be macro, they can be very high level, but they can be micro. They can be things like number of users, average revenue per user. It can be very, very targeted, but it can also be as broad as we want to increase usership by 10% by the next fiscal. So if your KPI was increase usership by 10%, and you have an executive or a director that is coming to you and saying, Rebecca, this is what I want, make it happen. As a product manager, you're going to go back to your team and you're going to take all of the opinions of your experts on your team. So that could be where your server support people are saying, Rebecca, we've noticed that our product, if it's say an app, it crashes more than we would recommend, or it freezes. And we think that if we invest in server support, we'll have a higher number of users because they won't be crashing out of our product, or they won't be freezing and unable to use it. Okay. Your UI team or your user interface team might say, well, we've looked at it, and say if it's a website, we've seen that it's not very accessible. We want to make it open to more types of people. We want to be able to make it easier to read. We want to make it so that the design, we want to redesign the UI. We need to change the colors. We think that more people will continue using our site if they have an easier time navigating the website, for example. Okay. You could have, your marketing team telling you that search engine optimization is the way to go. We want to be the first hit on Google, and we should invest in that. You might have your technical team coming in and saying, we actually think this new feature is going to improve our product, and we're going to actually have more users that way. There's so many options that your team could bring to you. As the product manager, you ultimately have to make the decision that you believe is going to hit your KPI, and you're responsible for those KPIs. If they're not met, then you're the one who has to get in front of your board, and you have to explain why. And you also have to explain what your plan is, what your roadmap is going forward to continue to improve the product if it's gone really well, or also continue to improve the product if you didn't hit your KPIs. So that includes a lot of planning for product iterations. Always iterate, release regularly. I even know of development teams that release on 2-week cycles. Every 2 weeks, they're providing something new to their users. It's very easy to do on cloud-based applications and services, and you can put things out, you can roll it back. 2 weeks is very high-paced, it's very agile and lean, but it does happen. So you need to have a plan for your release schedule and how you're going to deliver the things you're working on to your user. Provide support plans for after those things launch, and ultimately take the data back and use that data for data-driven decision-making. It's really, really important to always take the data back from your user and take that and make changes to your roadmap and your expectations for release. Typically, the product manager is also responsible for P&L, profit and loss. So that includes revenue and overhead, as well as determining where your product is at in the product life cycle. This does go back to why it's important for product managers to manage things and not people, is because, again, if you think it's important to reduce overhead, then it's not your decision because you're not the manager, but you can identify that you need to reduce overhead to increase revenue. Whatever your decision is, you're ultimately responsible for that profit and loss on your product. Okay, so all of this is great. And I know I can't see anyone, but I know you're all sitting there being like, fantastic, Rebecca, this all sounds amazing, but like, how do I do it? I know you're all thinking that, I can hear it. How do I get there? So there's a lot of different ways that you can become a product manager. I think one of the reasons why product management is so great is because it is new and there is no governing body that says, you have to have this type of certification, this type of education, etc., in order to be a product manager. It's something that you get into after working with the specific type of products that you do with time. So specifically, you can have backgrounds in business analysis. I know a lot of BAs that have gone on to become product managers. It's a really, really good background to have because you do have that and the analytics to be able to make the best decisions for your product. It's a viable option. I've seen this happen quite a lot. You can be similar to myself that comes in customer outreach and brand management. Someone who is focused on user research has an excellent background to transition into product management, in my opinion, but I'm biased. Project management. So project management and product management are different, but every product manager needs to have a foundation in project management. Because you are responsible for your roadmaps, your timelines, and your expected delivery to both your users and your clients, or if they, in some cases, they are both the client and the user, you have to be able to navigate project management with the support of your team to make sure that you are always delivering on time and to expectations. And that is very clear, and you're able to work with the resources that you have and what you're targeting for your features and offerings. Also, data analysis, I think this as well is something that is really strongly suited towards becoming a product manager, specifically because product management is so data driven. You're always using data to make your decisions, and being able to take raw data and process that is a very, very good skill to have, especially if you're working on smaller teams that might not have a dedicated data science, data analytics team to be able to tell you information that might make it useful for you to use towards improving your product. So I've seen a lot of people get into this role. I've seen people go from quality assurance testers to product managers. I've seen people with MBAs be product managers. Because it's so new and so niche, it's a really great thing to have a foundation in the products, the types of products that you want to build. It comes with the knowledge of the market and the industry that you want to be in ultimately. It allows, unlike being a physician where you have to have specific qualifications, it's really great that you can grow into this role. And I think if you have what it takes, it's a very viable career option, specifically because it's actually quite hard to get product managers in seats because it is growing and it's very niche. But again, I'm biased, but you all have to sit here and listen to what I have to say for this whole time. So, I think that you all might agree with me that it is a viable option to have, or at least after my presentation, I hope you would be. So ultimately, after all of that, you might be left wondering, like, okay, so there's no solid path necessarily. There's no school of product management, although there is an online school of product management. There's no, again, specific education required for this role. And it seems really vague because every single product is different. So is product management actually for me? If you're asking that question. In my opinion, the types of people that become product managers or would be well suited to the role of product management is first big picture thinkers. If you're the type of person that gets a piece of work and you don't feel like you necessarily know what that's contributing to, like if you ever get the feeling of a bit of a clog in the machine, you're a gear that's turning, but you don't know where the machine is actually going, this is a role for you. You have to think very high level. You have to be able to connect dots. So the type of people that look at future intentions, and you can identify risks in some of the future plans that your product has. You're able to make inferences based on market knowledge, etc., and you are able to take the expertise of everyone in your all the stakeholders in your product, and you can effectively advocate for them. You can connect those dots, you can connect people. I know every single job application in the history of ever says that they're looking for team players in the role, but product management, you have to be a team player. It's the type of thing where there are times when you have to roll your sleeves up. You've got to get down and dirty and help your team. If there is a problem that arises because you are that central point of contact and the person who ultimately is responsible for that, if you are capable, you have to get in there and support your team the best you can at times. And if not, then you have to find a solution. You have to connect your team and your experts to a solution that will best serve your product. And you always, if you don't like meetings, then product management is probably not for you, although I'm kind of inherently anti-meeting. I try to avoid them as much as possible so we can give our developers time to code and not sit in meetings. But it's ultimately where you're going to be talking to people a lot. You are the face of this product, and there are going to be a lot of people that have questions about your product, and you need to be able to answer them. You need to be knowledgeable, and you need to be able to work with people effectively at all times. Given that, product managers need to be very agile. People who respond well to change will thrive in this role, because software as a service requires constant iteration. Things are going to change. Your roadmap is not set in stone, and you need to have contingency plans on contingency plans. For the future of your product, and where it's going can always change. And you need to be able to steer your team to get on board to those changes that you make with your product vision. If there is a change in scope, etc., you need to be open to that, and you need to be able to work with it on the fly. Product managers are the jack of all trades. And I know the expression jack of all trades, master of none is something that's considered in a negative connotation. I don't agree with that. The product manager is not responsible for being an expert. You do have to know enough information to support all of your teams and all of your stakeholders, but you do not have to be an expert in, you don't have to be a senior technical engineer to be able to build a product. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to have the skills concretely as your team does, but you need to be able to know it well enough to be able to support them and understand how their work is going to fit in best into your product. So you really are the jack of all trades, but you have to gain a mastery in that in itself to be an effective product manager. Again, things manager, not people manager in an ideal world. There are exceptions to this. Of course, typically you would have junior product managers, project managers, data analysts, etc., if they were to be reporting to you as manager, but not necessarily managing the entire everyone in your product. So if that's kind of something you think about, like, man, I really like leading like projects or products, but I don't really like dealing with the day-to-day individual HR matters, this is probably something for you, which is fantastic. But that doesn't mean that you're not a leader. You do have to be a leader in your field. You have to be able to motivate a team, and you have to be able to be persuasive in your goals to be able to achieve the targets that you've set out for your product. And ultimately, risk-taking is something that in product management, you always have to take risk. Always, always, always. Fail hard and fail fast. The product manager is the person that you can have something where you're like, I think this is going to work. You put it out on the market, and if it fails miserably, your job is not to go, oh, well, that sucks. Your job is then to report back and say, look, here are the reasons why we didn't succeed in our targets, and here is how we're going to change it. Here's how we're going to solve this problem, and you have a plan, and you're ready to present that. The bigger the risk you take, the better the payoff. But it means with iterative processes, you get to keep going always. You get to iterate on your product, you get user feedback, you do more user research throughout the entire life cycle of your product, and you can take big risks and you can ship it and you can make changes remotely, which is why software as a service is fantastic. But it does pay off if you're the type of person that wants to take big risks and is ready to stand behind those risks ultimately. So the goal there is to fail productively at all times with your service that you're providing to your users. That's it. Harry knows that I always talk really quickly, so I apologize if I was talking very fast. I'm just very excited about product management, but I do want to thank you for having me here. And I do want to take all of your questions. I'm very interested to hear from you about what you know about product management and what product management maybe means in your workplace or in your experience. So yeah, thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rebecca. We have people are clapping and they really like it. We also have messages in the chat. But before I go into that, let's talk about the questions. We have a couple of them.
Perfect. I have a slide just for that.
Exactly. Now you have to answer the question. So the first question is a product manager the same as a product owner?
I knew that question was going to come up. Product owners and product managers are typically different. A lot of times you will see a product owner having a specific responsibility for a team or a feature, whereas a product manager can actually be someone who manages multiple products. I know Harry knows this, that at any given time, we have 4 or 5 ongoing active development in our products. It entirely depends on the industry and how they define that role. I did move from product owner to product manager as well. And oftentimes businesses are using those two things interchangeably. It really, really depends on how they define it themselves. I know that's a very non-answer, but my role in now as a product manager, it is the same as being a product owner. The key difference is usually that you're, as a product owner, only focused on one specific product or feature. So if it's like Facebook, for example, you might be the person that's responsible for the like button, for example, if it's a really, really, really big product, but you might also be responsible for managing several ongoing products as a product manager. So yeah, that's probably my best definition of what I can say between the two. But both are excellent options, I would say.
Okay, great. Thank you for that answer, Rebecca. Second question is, how many products do you think a product manager can manage efficiently without having issues?
I'm going to give the same answer. It entirely depends on what your products are. If your products are something, if your software is something that you have a worldwide offering for, it might just be one at a time, especially when you're doing constant iterations on your product. It could be like 5. It also depends, like you do get executive product managers who are overseeing product managers and senior product managers who are effectively trying to mitigate the enterprise portfolio of your products. So you could have people doing that for you. It could be small, it could be large. It really, really, really depends on what your product is. It could be something so simple and you have several of them at a time and you have a small development team. Again, non-answer. I can't wait to answer the next question with a hypothetical.
I think that's fine. Who determines the acceptance criteria of the product? Is it the product manager or the development team?
The product as a whole or specific pieces of the product?
The question says the acceptance criteria for the product.
Product manager. But if there are specific pieces of work contributing to your product. So say if you have a feature that you've created epics for, and the acceptance criteria for that is defined by your lead design or your lead engineer, based on that specific subset of work that those individuals are completing. So for example, I wouldn't be the one to tell you what the acceptance criteria is for a push that you do for adding code to the repository. That would be your manager, or your lead, your director, etc. But in terms of, do we ship this product? Has it met the brief? That is the product manager. Do we ship a piece of this, like an iteration? Always, always, always. It doesn't go out, nothing gets sent, nothing gets completed without the sign off of the product manager. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you. I think it did. We have a lot of questions. So
Can't see them.
yeah, so I'll just read them. I'm trying to, does a product manager in a software development company need programming skills to do the job?
No, but it is very, very useful. That's what I would say. You don't have to, especially because there's so many languages that, depending on what your product is, that you're going to code it in, or what the needs are of the product. Specifically, I've come from video game development to artificial intelligence and machine learning. That involves languages such as R that I haven't actually had haven't experienced using yet. I would say it helps a lot, but it's not necessary. No. As long as you are focused on the end game of your product, what the user is experiencing, that is your domain, is what the user is experiencing, not necessarily what goes into that. You're responsible for the final result. So no, you don't have to. Would recommend though.
Okay, what are the biggest challenges you have experienced as a product manager?
Biggest challenges, I would probably say, is taking really, really big risks that didn't pay off. I know there was a time where in working in live video games, we had shipped an update just in time for Christmas, which is a very opportune time for individuals to be purchasing and buying things and ultimately supporting your product. And it turned out that on Christmas Day, that deployment had failed, which is very, very bad for a live product. It was one of those things like, well, you can't pull your team in on Christmas. That's crazy. But I would say that, like, having complete blackout on your product, there's times when you can ship a product to your client, they're like, nope, I hate it. And it's hard. You have to get used to that though, and you have to stand behind it. But it took me a long time to not take it personally, to just, even though you're the advocate of your product, it's like, great, fail fast, fail hard. Let's go, let's try again. And let's fulfill that. So I'd probably say the hardest part is not acting like my products are my babies, even though they are. Because it's, depending on what you're making, it's a fast and hard market. And you have to keep going. You have to keep developing and iterating and keep trying until you succeed.
Yeah, I think I like that. Fail hard and fail quick. Yeah, fail hard and fail fast. Yeah, good one. So how do I transit from project management to product management?
You start pushing more advocacy for your product. So a project manager typically gets a predefined set of work, and they're responsible for making sure that stacking, making sure everything's delivered and it fulfills that work that's required. So for example, it's saying, hey, project managers, and I do work with project managers to say, this is the feature that we're doing. Here are the specifics. You are responsible for getting the team together to make sure it actually happens. Whereas product managers are the ones that are saying, okay, but we have to decide what it is we're doing. And then the project manager goes through the details of which stories are created and assigned to individuals on a Gantt chart, for example. But I would say in order to transition, just start advocating for the things that you're building. Start having a conversation in your workplace about product management and why it's useful, and why we should get away from project management lines of thinking, because project management is very well suited to build things, and you can build products, to build things that it's like, here's a budget, here's the definition of what we want, get it done, let us know when it's done, ship it, it's done, it's gone. But product management is for software as a service that it is a perpetual service. It's not something that's a one and done like a project. It's something that you constantly have to be changing and adjusting throughout, the life cycle of your product. So start the conversation in your workplace. Start advocating for the things that you think would be most beneficial for your product, and say, hey, I want to build it, and advocate for it and stand by it. Be responsible for the thing that you're advocating for your product.
Okay.
Force your way in. Kick some doors down. I don't know. That's
Don't do that.
No, not literally.
Okay, so thank you, Rebecca. I know, but the questions are coming in. So
keep them coming. Let's go.
Okay, so yeah, no, I know you're gonna. Well, you wouldn't complain. So, are there any top certifications I can write?
There are. I know Product School, even if you just get on their mailing list, they do have ongoing courses. They do even have mock interviews similar to what kind of Harry and this organization is providing. You can get your professionally certified Scrum product owner from scrum.org, which I would recommend. Although it is product owner, it is applicable to any agile development environment. And in my opinion, all environments should be agile for software development anyways, for software as a service. So I would recommend those two, and start there. Get on those mailing lists. You can get a certification quite easily as a professional certified Scrum product owner. And that's where I would go. It's a good course to take. I mean, and there's a lot of Udemy courses as well too, that have people talking about their experience in product management and kind of the skills that they think are applicable. But no, you can't go get a degree in product management. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist yet.
Okay, I'll just add that this IBA has, we are an endorsed IBA education partner, and IBA has a certificate in product ownership. And I know that is different from the product management, but that's the closest that IBA has. So if you are interested, you can look at that. And you can add the product school that Rebecca just mentioned. So just go do a Google search and you will get that information. Now, there's a question on, do you have any opportunity for part-time internships? I know that question is not for Rebecca, it's for Career Aid Hub, and we are working on that. So please follow us on our social media handles, and you get to know when we are offering product management training. And for all our training, we usually have internships where you can practicalize the things that you're learning. For Rebecca, are there recommended trainings or body of knowledge an aspiring product manager can start with? As in, is there a book somewhere, or is it just trainings that you just...
I mean, the first thing I would do is recommend taking the course, Product Owner, that Harry just mentioned, offered by Career Aid Hub. There's a product management podcast, which does regular updates. There's people that are product managers in Google and Apple and a lot of these big tech firms that are openly talking about their experience in product management. You have people like me that won't shut up about it, given the opportunity, specifically because we're the types of people, in my opinion, the product managers that I've met that are very loud and advocate for themselves and are happy to share their knowledge. I don't have any, I can put together a list of readings, but I would start with Product School mailing list and reading what they have to offer. Yeah, at least globally anyways. I know that where I'm located, there's a lot of offerings in our local library, but I can put together a list for sure.
Rebecca, really appreciate that. And another reason why you should join our mailing list. So when Rebecca gives me those or gives us those reading articles or books or materials, if you're part of our mailing list, you also get that. Two more questions. One of them says, what are some of the softwares that product managers use to deliver on their responsibilities?
I would advocate for Jira specifically. Jira is, although Jira is a software that, like, in its base, it does provide what you need to be able to deliver your roadmaps, etc. But you can add on a lot of things to Jira. I know that I use Advanced Roadmaps, which is a part of Jira Premium, which allows you to have a roadmap built in based off your Gantt chart. So you can bring it to a high level so that depending on who you are, such as your stakeholders, your investors, they can see high level, like in your swim lanes, here are the features that we're targeting based on the timeline, and you can expand it to have more detail for those who are interested in it. Everything goes on Jira. A piece of work does not get done unless it's on Jira, because that ultimately you need to have really good Scrum Masters and project managers to make sure that those things are all on track and that every piece of work you're doing is suited to a specific feature or piece of work that you've targeted for your product. So Jira, always Jira. Advanced Roadmaps, there's so many add-ons like Structure that you can use to achieve that. And you do everything from end to end on Jira, from the pre-production to determining what you're going to be doing for your product, to development, to testing, right on that one platform. So I feel like I should be waving my Jira flags and my Jira foam finger, but that's what I would recommend getting on. And there are free services that you can do to achieve the same thing, like a Scrum board with free software as well. Not exactly sure. I'm trying to think, but there's many different ways that you can do it. Like just don't manage anything in your products on Excel. Just please don't do that. Just do me that at least. Just don't do it on Excel and I'll be happy.
Okay, I've seen Rebecca do things on Jira that I didn't know were possible. So she really does know how to, use Jira to its to the best of what the developers, or the owners or the creators intended for Jira to do. So, and that's just a segue to say that we are hoping, if Rebecca agrees, to bring her back to talk about road mapping in Jira.
Yes.
I think it's something that we like. So Rebecca, I'm taking that yes to mean you're going to come back. So.
Well, it means I get to talk more about product management, which is, again, something I'm excited to do.
Great. So we're going to have Rebecca back to talk about road mapping in Jira, and you get to see what I'm talking about. I've seen her do things there, and it's just amazing. So thank you for Rebecca. The other question is, where is that? What do you advise? Certification before experience or experience before certification?
Experience before certification. I think because it is so dependent on the products that you're making and the industry that you're in. It's something where certification, and again, could put you in a box where it's very, very important to supplement your experience with certification, and it doesn't ever hurt to be educated ever. Join Harry's product management offerings, like join that course, learn as much as you can, always. But at the end of the day, you have to be the expert in your product, and you can't do that without having experience working in building the products that you want to build. Start wherever you can. Like I said, I've seen quality assurance testers become excellent product managers by being involved in the products that they manage now.
Awesome.
Another non-answer, isn't it?
No, it's not good. It's a very good answer. I always also, well, not just me, myself and other faculties, Oge, Kemi, we always advise get experience, get practical experience. Certification is good. I agree, it's good, but it's just the cherry on the pie. But experience is what you really need to reinforce yourself in. And when you think it is time to, you know what, get an organization to certify that I know what I'm doing, then go get it. But between certification and experience, I would advise experience first, like Rebecca has also said. Rebecca, thank you so much. It's exactly 8 p.m. on the dot.
Look at that.
Yes, we made
did it.
You did it. Yes. So, thank you so much for your time. I'm very happy it was well paced, and I know people got things. Oh, yeah. Oge wants to say something. Yes. Okay, please. You can unmute.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Rebecca and Harry. Before you close the meeting, I want everyone to wish Kemi a happy birthday. Today is her birthday. And
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Kemi.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Kemi.
Happy birthday, Kemi. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all the time you spend volunteering to help our community members. We love you. We appreciate you and wish you the best of this new year.
Thank you so much. I really, really am happy to have been invited here. Thank you, Harry. And I'll see you tomorrow. Unfortunately for Harry, but not for everyone else.
Yes. We'll see you tomorrow. Before we go, Kemi, do you have anything to say? That's Kemi. If you've not met her, that's Kemi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the show of love. I do appreciate that. In fact, I was really overwhelmed by your show of love. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm going to discuss with you on when next to be convenient for you to come. Sure. In 2 weeks, we're going to have another presenter, well experienced like Rebecca, but more in process automation. And we're going to be learning about intelligent process automation. So it's going to be very interesting, just like today. And every 2 weeks, we always have awesome topics, awesome guests presenting to us and telling us what we need to know. So please join our social media handles. And we also have trainings in our partner organization, Franopt Consulting, where we offer trainings. Our current business analysis cohort is about concluding this month. They are working on their practicum, and we are going to have more cybersecurity trainings, product management trainings, project management trainings, and data analytics training coming up soon. So please join our social media handles, like, subscribe, and this presentation is going to be on YouTube for you to replay and watch. And I just want to say thank you, a big thank you to everybody. If you were all not here, we would not have anybody to talk to. So as much as I appreciate Rebecca, I also appreciate everybody that took some time to come learn today. We really say thank you. And I said there's something else from Oge. I don't know if you have anything to add before we close. No. The last thing that the last thing I want to do is please, if you can turn your video on, let's just take a very short video with everybody. I think we can all turn on our videos. I don't think that is disabled.
Did you give fair warning for that, Harry?
Now
to be video ready.
Now I'm telling everybody. So turn your video on. We just take a very quick picture. Yes, if you want to put on your makeup, I give you like 20 seconds. Just really put on your makeup or drink water. And if you want to, yes, great. I'll just give a few more seconds for us to proceed. And on YouTube, you can find all our past presentations. So they are all on YouTube. So just go there and you can get to, okay, I think we have, okay, I'll just give it 20 more seconds and then we can take the picture and you just say cheese, and some people came on their video and went again. So do you want to, are you doing something on the makeup again? Okay, so I'll count 1 to 3. 1, 2.
Cheese.
No, not cheese. Some people are just putting on their videos. So let me count again. I'm sorry. I just saw some videos come on. So 1, oh, more videos are coming out. Okay, great. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks from now. I wish you a very good rest of your week. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks, Benedict.
Thank you. That's true.